Donald Trump held a press conference today, yes, another one, and the esteemed Latino journalist Jorge Ramos got up and proceeded to ask Mr. Trump a question without Donald Trump calling on him. He went on this attempt to filibuster and get in his queries related to Mr. Trump's statements regarding Latinos and immigration. But Donald Trump wasn't having any of it. He said, no, I'm going to take your question. I won't take your question. It's not your turn. It's not your turn. No, I won't do it. Go back to Univision. And then he had one of his bodyguards come over and escort him out. And after a time, Mr. Ramos came back. But the damage, you would think damage, was done. Well, it wasn't damage at all. There was no damage. Sure, my mother, as one example of what I'm talking about, when she heard the first press conference, her first reaction was, that man is being rude. And she wasn't talking about Donald Trump. My 81-year-old mother, well, she will be October 1st, was talking about Mr. Ramos. She said he was just doing that to gain attention. He ought to shut up. Those were the words of my mom. Now, Latinos on Twitter were pissed off and talking about how Donald Trump's behavior was inappropriate. But folks, this is not going to hurt Donald Trump. In fact, it's going to help him. Like everything else that he has said that we thought was going to damage his campaign, this is going to help him. Why? I will tell you why. It's something that dawned on me the other day. America is hungry for a white alpha male political candidate. That's why. You heard me. America is hungry for a white alpha male political candidate. Donald Trump is all that. He's made billions of dollars. He's created a brand, a personal brand, not a corporate brand, a personal brand around saying what is on his mind, around picking, if you will, public relations battles with people. And he's done this for years and we're used to it. And yet, every time we turn around, everything that he touches in the business world turns to gold. Almost everything. Okay, the Trump college program idea, that didn't go well at all. Granted, I grant you that. Am I an admirer of Donald Trump from the business perspective? Yes, I am. I've said that before. I even tried out for The Apprentice some years ago. Didn't make it, but I tried. So yes, I am. The bottom line, however, is that our society, between the consistent and unstoppable march of the growth of social media, making us have this other layer of communication where we can say anything that we want to the other person almost without a filter. Then with our increasingly diverse society, not just racially diverse, not just diverse in terms of positions, like a woman having a coaching position, which I think is fantastic and everything else, but also sexual preferences. With all of this put into place, coupled with the fact that America has lost its economic standing in the world that it once had, such that a person with a high school education could get a job paying well enough to feed a family of four. That's because that's gone. If you take all of that and put it together and add to that a white, still majority population that feels like in some cases, for those who are older, they're under siege, have to work harder, and maybe are being replaced by someone who isn't their color, who is minority. All of this, you put all of this together, and what it reveals is this bedrock set of reasons why Donald Trump is consistently high in polls versus other Republican candidates. He comes out, and Donald Trump, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, is the presidential equivalent of someone going to town on their Twitter stream, which I might add, he does. There is no difference between the Donald Trump on Twitter and the Donald Trump that takes the podium. Both act like conservative firebrands who commonly only have between 30 and 70 followers. You know the ones. They go around the Twitterverse trolling for arguments with liberals or others. That's Donald Trump. But he's got millions of followers and billions of dollars. Okay? Donald Trump said something, and I've noted this in an earlier video on Mr. Trump, that people don't pay attention to. He said he won a poll of Latinos, Republican Latinos, in Nevada. And he did. It's no joke, folks. He did significantly. What I think is happening is that there are a number of people who are going to vote for Trump who normally would not, because they know what they're getting. And they may disagree with his approach. They may think he is impolitic, but they like that he is alpha. He is trying to position himself to do something because he has done it. He has a track record. And listen to me say, now I'm believing his rhetoric, but he does have a track record. And you have to explain, you have to have an explanation for why Donald Trump is doing so well. This is my explanation. We also have in this country a number of, frankly speaking, men who don't know how to be men. They're afraid. They're afraid to talk for themselves, afraid to speak up, allow others to take the narrative from them. And they too are hungry to see an example of a man that goes back to being a man. That's Donald Trump. And that's why Donald Trump is going to stay on top for a long, long time. And it's going to be fascinating to see how all of this translates into his attempt to gain the GOP nomination. If he does not, he will immediately become independent, and that will be a huge game changer.